Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Tech 1 manufacturing. We'll be looking at skills required, how you go about finding the items that you want to produce, and how to work out the profitability of said item. If you enjoy this type of content and want to see more in the future, then please feel free to subscribe to the channel. It is very much appreciated. So the skills that you'll need in order to be able to do Tech 1 manufacturing for basic items is very low. Generally you'll want industry, you'll need industry. That will give you a 4% reduction in manufacturing times. Mass production gives you the ability to add an additional manufacturing slot per level, and at level 5 it gives you the option to do mass production, which again gives you an extra run or extra slot per level to a maximum of 11, but 10 is probably about the optimal that you'll want to go to unless you're really heavily going to get into manufacturing. So here we are, we have two Tech 1 BPOs up. As you can see, the level to enter is industry level 1, and that is, so say, for a frigate sized ship, and for the Rook, which is one of the largest battleships, again the entry level for that is just industry level 1. So the general barrier to enter for Tech 1 manufacturing is again very low. Now of course there are exceptions to this. So we have the mobile medium warp disruptor bubble here, and again as you can see here the skills required for this are slightly more than just industry, and if you start to go into cap production, whether it's modules or ships themselves, again you'll start needing extra skills in order to be able to do this, but for the vast majority of Tech 1 items you'll just need industry level 1. However, if you do decide to go into building rigs, which is possibly recommended, then again you'll need jury rigging level 3 and mechanics level 3, which is again relatively low and easy to obtain, and something you'll probably be getting anyway on your character just to so you can fit rigs etc to your ships. So in order to check whether you have the required skills for an item, if you have a look for it in the browser list for the market, find the BPO that you are after, click on the information button, and that will give you the tabs across, description, and then a list. You may have to expand the list, and there we go. So there, for the prototype cloak you'll need industry level 5, graviton physics, science, etc. Again, this is another one of them odd BPOs that need additional skills, but that's how you go about finding whether you have the required skills. In order to find a Tech 1 item that you want to manufacture, there's a couple of different ways for doing this. You can use out-of-game third-party websites or downloads. ISK per hour is one of them. I know a lot of people use that, and Fuzzworks, and there's Adam for Eve and a few other third-party websites that people use. Now these can be quite handy. So for instance, ISK per hour, you can put in the parameters of what you want to search for, whether it's Tech 1, Tech 2. You can filter it by ISK per hour, ISK per item, and you can also set the volume that is sold. But having said that, I don't generally use any of them. I basically do it all manually, looking through the items, and I'll show you how I do it. Now generally I don't use third-party sites for finding items to trade. I do it all manually. Now the reason for this is because it's what I've always done. I've used some of the third-party sites before, and generally you would find that every so often the prices are out, etc. And if everybody has access to exactly the same information, then everybody will be chasing the same items. So whether good or bad, I like to do it myself, and I'll show you how I go about doing that. Now for the purpose of this video itself, I'm going to stick to general basic Tech 1 items and rigs. So instead of using say the thermal trigger unit here, which requires additional skills, I'm going to just keep it, so say, to the basic items. So one of the things I do, I look through my BPO collection for instance, and we've got the medium core defense field here. So bring it up in the industry tab. Again, this is a ME10 but PE0. So buy all the items, I'm currently sat in jitter at the moment, so it'll give me the jitter buy price, which is 1.249 million ISK, plus the additional for installing it at jitter. So what? 1.2. We'll run it to 1.3 million ISK, and the sale cost for this, or the sell price, is 1.4. So we'll make, if we were to produce them, roughly 130,000 ISK every 30 minutes. Now, something again to look at is how many of these are selling per day. As you can see from the graph here, the numbers are in the thousands. So if we were to build some of them, they should be relatively easy to sell. So for producing one for every 30 minutes, and the profit is 130,000 ISK, times 2 is 260,000 ISK, minus sell fees, so 5%, so what you're probably looking at about 235,000 ISK an hour by producing the medium core defense fields. Generally, when I'm looking for Tech 1 items, I stay away from ships. Ships are very overproduced usually, and the profit margins can be incredibly small. That doesn't mean that there aren't items out there that you can make a profit on, but it does mean that, as I say, I personally find it much harder to move ships. So again, here we are. We're down at the 800 mil repeating autocannons. These are battleship size guns. So right click, buy all, have a look at the price, 1.37 million, plus the total cost for installing. Again, this can be taken down if you are producing outside of jitter, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to assume that you're going to sit in jitter, that you don't have a great deal of skills, and you don't want to be moving a huge amount of stuff around. So the total cost of that is 1.47 million ISK, and let's see how much they're selling for. So as you can see here, it's only 1111, 1.4. Yes, by the time you've done your sell order, taking taxes into account, it's probably not really going to be worth it for these, and so on all the way down the list. Now I can already hear people typing in the comments that, well, that's fine, you have a collection of BPOs. I don't have that, so you know, how do I go about finding items? Well, my industrial minded friend, what I do, or what you can do, is go to the contracts and search through contracts for stuff that you think might sell fine. So if we do purge core defender fields, again, it doesn't need to be a BPO for the comparison, we just need to be able to find it in the industry screen. So as you can see, this is a 1020 BPO, so this is as good as it gets. Buy all the items, 1.3 million. Now we need to select, so 1.3, so 1.4 million ISK. See how much it sells for, 1.4 minus tax, not really worth it. And basically what I'll do that for any items or BPOs that I'm thinking about buying in the future, just to see roughly how much profit can be made, whether it's worth researching the BPOs, etc. Now, depending if you're just starting out, you can buy the BPCs instead of having to buy a BPO, but obviously some of that will eat into your profit margin. So this video doesn't run for several hours. I'm going to do a quick look around. I'm going to see what I can find, and then I'm going to come back with the results of the items that at the moment are doing quite well. So here we are again, industrial sinosaural field. If we just buy the BPC here and not bother with a BPO, this is going to cost us 4 million ISK for 50 runs, working out at 80,000 ISK per run. Now if we have a look in industry, so go to buy all, put it on the right station. So at the moment it's 1.662 million ISK plus 153,000. Let's do this properly. So 1.662 plus 156,000, and no sell fees till the end. So yeah, so have a look, see how much they're selling for. So 1242. So 342,000 ISK per unit, minus 5% for sell fees. So it's coming out at 300,000 ISK per unit. Now, as you can see here, the number of these that sell per day is 500-600. So they do sell in a decent amount of volume, and you can make one every 32 minutes. So again, decent item to be looking at. So again, you can look for items that are spiking as well. Here we've got the miasmos. I'm not sure if I said that right. But again, so say, let's look at it in industry and see how much it costs to make. 1.16 plus 1.16, 1.26 plus the cost of the BPC, 1.36. And at present, there has been quite a spike here. This person has obviously placed 16 down at 2 million ISK, still making 700,000 ISK before tax, and you can build one of them every 2 hours. So again, decent return on them at present. Now, a lot of people new to manufacturing get into building missiles, ammunition, etc. It can be quite handy. It's low entry, it's easy, everybody wants missiles. Again, it's just thinking of items that people are using, what you've been using, and then going from there. So if we do the manure heavy missile here, again, this BPC is 10 of 20. Let's have a look. So 5,700. And as usual, I forgot to put the station in, so plus 163. Now, something to be aware of when doing some production, that this here tells us that for every one production run that we do, we get 100 missiles. So the cost that we have there is divided by 100, so it gives us 63 ISK per missile to build. Now at the moment they're selling at 72, so minus 72 gives us 8 ISK. 8 ISK per missile, minus, we'll say 1 ISK for tax. So 7 ISK is 700, because we're producing 100 at a time every 5 minutes. So 5 minutes, so in the hour you can roughly build 12, so that's 8,400 ISK an hour, which is particularly bad. When you're looking for items to build, you ideally obviously want the maximum amount of ISK per hour that you can obviously squeeze out of most things, depending. There are exceptions to that, but obviously the more the merrier. Now if we have a look at the cruise missile instead of the heavy missile, let's see if this is any different. So these cost 34,000, 34,000 plus 3,360 divided by 100 is 373 ISK per unit. Again, not a huge amount. So we're making 23 ISK per missile times 100, and how many are we making per hour? Just over 6, so we'll go for, I'll say 7. So 16,000 ISK an hour. Again, it's too low to be participating in. You want to be looking anywhere. If it's over 75,000 ISK an hour, then that's generally where you want to be looking. 75,000 to 300,000-400,000 is where you want to be. Now obviously the higher that figure, the less likely you are to find them. So although you will find items that are selling for 400,000 every now and then, you want to be looking, so say probably lower than that. You want something that's a bit more sustainable and isn't just like a spike in volume or sell orders that has currently come along, or lack of items on the market. Now by all means do take advantage of items that do get bought up and out, but yeah, you want to be, so say, focusing. 100,000 ISK an hour is pretty decent. Times that by 10 slots, that's 1 million ISK an hour. Times that by 24 and you've got 24 million ISK a day, and that will inevitably come out at around 700 million ISK a month. Now, I will cover this in a separate video, but basically, if you are mining minerals, etc., to build stuff, the items that you are, or the minerals that you are mining, are not free. I will repeat that. The minerals that you are mining are not free. They have a time and cost associated with them. And again, the same principle as if you are buying off the market from buy orders. So you can generally place a buy order for an item and get it cheaper. This should not be included in the calculation you are doing when selling an item. So for instance, for this item specifically, if I'd managed to get all this titanium for free, I'd put a market order up and I got it for 1 ISK a piece. That would inevitably on this item save me 18,000 ISK. Now 18,000, when we do the calculation, would obviously work out that, making an absolute ton on this now, because I managed to get the titanium for cheap. This is not profit created by manufacturing. You would have made the same amount of ISK if you would have just taken that titanium and sold it straight back on the market for the current going value or rate. You have made no extra money from the manufacturing or using it to manufacture, same as if you mined the minerals yourself. Now, I will stress again, this is an incredibly important point, so you may need to listen to this a few times, because a lot of people struggle with this concept that if I have mined the minerals myself, then obviously if I'm building from them, then it's free. I haven't paid for their minerals, which is correct. No, you have not paid for their minerals, but you have invested time, and time is precious. You have used your time, which you could have been doing something else, to buy them minerals, and by using these minerals to then produce an item, you are not creating extra ISK from the item or value from the items that you have mined. And that's due to the fact that you could literally have taken them minerals right back to the market and sold them straight back to the market, and you would have made the ISK back that way. So using items that you have mined, bought for cheaper, etc., will increase your ISK, assuming you add them to the calculation that you are doing. Do not fall into the trap of thinking these minerals I have mined or that I have bought cheaper are free or less and should not be included in the valuation. Again, you could have sold these minerals straight to the market, made the ISK. What you are doing when you are producing, you are adding value. So in regards to procurement exercise, the value you are adding, you are turning these into an item, and that takes time. Now the time is what people are paying you for. So as you look around for items to build, you will sometimes find items that are quite a way below their build cost. Now this can be the fact that people are using the idea that the minerals they have mined or acquired are free or cheaper, and therefore they can sell the item for cheaper because they haven't paid for it, or said item could have been built at a station with a lower cost index, so they could be saving some money that way. Or again, depending on where you are buying it, you get rigs that lower the overall minerals required. However, do not fall into the category of selling below your build cost. Know how much the items you are building are costing you and sell them appropriately. If you're selling under, then obviously you are losing money. You are not making money from the process of building the items. Over time you are going to slowly bleed money regardless of where you're getting it from. The idea for manufacturing, etc., is you are trying to grow your ISK pile, not give people items for free. Now you will come across people that just like to build items. They mine, they build, they don't really care about making ISK, etc. However, that's not the category that you should be falling into if you are trying to grow your ISK pile. You are not playing the game just for or you're not doing manufacturing just for the sheer enjoyment of you like to crank out items and then sell them for roleplay, etc. We are trying to acquire more ISK so we can do more manufacturing, so we can grow the ISK pile, grow the BPCs that we have, the BPOs, and so on and so on. I'll more than likely do a topic all on its own for minerals, etc., because it's such an important topic that people struggle to get their head round, and it's fundamental to the manufacturing of items that yeah, it's really something that everybody needs to be aware of and to be thinking about. So if you have made it this far and you haven't subscribed, then please do. If you've enjoyed this video, then please leave a like. Any comments in the comments section are always very much appreciated. They're read. I do reply to any that aren't particularly trolly. Some of them, you know, I don't care what the question is or whether you're pointing something out that you think is wrong. I will always address it as and where I can to give you either feedback. Again, I'm not infallible, I make mistakes, there are things that I get wrong, so anybody pointing anything out that they have seen is much appreciated, so I can either put it right or I can try and address where you are possibly going wrong. So I think for this video I have rambled on long enough. If you are getting into manufacturing, then let us know. You can join the channel StrangeNet in game, just to have a chat, to hang out, to ask any questions that you would like to ask me. And on that note, fly safe and we'll see you next time. Thank you.